Tomorrow, as Sean Diddy Combs awaits sentencing following a mixed verdict in his federal trial. The judge had originally set a sentencing date for October, but the defense team did ask for that to happen as soon as possible.
The world watched as Sean Diddy Combs, a titan of hip-hop, stared into the abyss. He was facing charges that could have put him away for life, racketeering and sex trafficking. And then the verdict dropped. Acquitted, cleared of the absolute worst charges, it looked like Diddy had just dodged a catastrophic bullet. His family broke out in cheers, his lawyers claimed a major victory, and headlines everywhere painted the picture of a man who somehow beat the system. But what if I told you that this so-called victory was actually a perfectly laid trap? What if the acquittal everyone's celebrating was exactly what the government wanted to happen? Today, we're breaking down the stunning courtroom drama that just unfolded. We'll show you why the prosecution is likely celebrating this as a huge win, and why Diddy's biggest success in court might just be what seals his downfall. Welcome to Celebrity Spotlight. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel. Section 1. The victory that wasn't. To really get what's happening here, you have to understand what the jury actually decided. The media has really only focused on the acquittals. And yes, Diddy was found not guilty of the big ones: racketeering conspiracy and 2 counts of sex trafficking. Those were the charges that carried life in prison, the ones that had everyone holding their breath. Hearing not guilty on those definitely felt like he was completely in the clear, but he wasn't, because the jury kept going. They also found Sean Combs guilty on 2 separate counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. One of those counts, by the way, involved a male sex worker. Now, those words might not sound as scary as racketeering, but don't get it twisted. These are serious federal convictions. Each one carries a maximum of 10 years in prison. So while Diddy dodged a life sentence, he is now a convicted felon who is staring down the very real threat of years, maybe even a decade or more, behind bars. The public sees a win, but the legal reality is a massive loss. The judge denied him bail, pointing directly to Diddy's own history of violence as a major reason why. He's going to stay locked up in a federal detention center in Brooklyn until his sentencing. This isn't freedom. This is not a win. It's the cold, hard reality of a federal conviction, a reality that's been almost completely buried by the good news of those acquittals. Section 2. The defense's high-stakes gamble. To see the trap, you have to appreciate the risky but brilliant strategy from Diddy's lead lawyer, Mark Agnifilo. Right from the jump, the defense team made a huge gamble. Instead of just denying everything, they chose a path of what you might call radical honesty. They didn't try to paint Diddy as some kind of saint. In fact, they did the exact opposite. Agnifilo basically got up in front of the jury and admitted his client was a deeply flawed person. He conceded Diddy was prone to jealousy and violence in his relationships. He acknowledged the drug use and the wild swinger lifestyle. He didn't run from the ugly parts of the story, he ran right at them. The entire defense boiled down to this. Yeah, Sean Combs is a bad boyfriend. Yes, he did some messed up things, but being a bad guy with a toxic lifestyle doesn't make him a federal sex trafficker. This was an incredibly calculated risk. By admitting to the lesser evils, the defense was trying to build credibility. They were telling the jury, "We'll be straight with you, even about the bad stuff." It was a move designed to take the sting out of the prosecution's evidence before they could even present it. It worked for the big charges. The jury bought the distinction they were selling and acquitted Diddy of racketeering. It was a brilliant move, but it also walked Diddy right into the prosecution's snare. Section 3. The prosecutor's master plan. And this gets us to the theory at the heart of this whole thing: the prosecution's trap. Let's be real, federal prosecutors aren't dumb. They knew that getting a conviction on a complex charge like racketeering against a rich, famous guy like Diddy with a legal dream team was going to be tough. Racketeering cases are notoriously hard to prove. So, what if they never really expected to win on those charges at all? What if the racketeering and trafficking charges were just bait? Think about it. The prosecution throws the entire book at Diddy. They charge him with the scariest crimes you can think of, things that make you think of mob bosses. This does 2 things. First, it completely shapes the media story and frames Diddy as a monster. Second, and this is the important part, it sets a really high anchor for the jury. For weeks, the jury just hears about Diddy's abusive and sordid behavior. His own defense admits to a lot of it. The jury's probably thinking, this guy is guilty of something. We can't just let him walk. But maybe the whole racketeering thing feels like a stretch. Maybe they aren't convinced beyond a reasonable doubt. And this is where the trap springs. The prosecution also gave them an easy out. Those 2 counts of transportation for prostitution. Compared to a life sentence for racketeering, convicting him on those lesser charges probably felt like a fair compromise. The jury gets to hold Diddy accountable. The defense gets to claim a huge victory because they beat the life sentence charges. Everybody feels like they won. But who really won? The prosecution. They got their federal felony conviction. They made sure Sean Combs will see the inside of a prison cell. And they did it by letting the defense's own strategy, admitting he was a bad guy, do all the work for them. This is where the legal chess match gets really interesting. Do you think this was a legit victory for Diddy's team, or was this a brilliant strategy by prosecutors who got the conviction they wanted all along? Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you're getting something out of this breakdown, hit that subscribe button, because the fallout from this is far from over. Section 4. The Aftermath and the Fallout. Nothing captures the conflicting stories around this case better than what happened right after the verdict. Diddy's lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, came out and told reporters that his client was a symbol of hope for other inmates, a man who had beat the government. Section 5. What happens now? The real sentence. All the talk of victory and beating the government ignores the grim reality of what's next. Sentencing. The tentative date is October 3rd. The fight now is all about how long Diddy will be in prison. Prosecutors have already said they're pushing for a sentence of at least 4.25 years. Diddy's team is hoping for something closer to 2 years, arguing he's already been locked up for almost a year. Let's be very clear. Even the good outcome here is a devastating loss. A sentence of several years in federal prison is life-changing for anybody, no matter how rich or famous you are. His reputation is in ruins, his billion-dollar empire is at risk, and his name is now permanently linked to the words convicted felon. The public was glued to the drama of the life sentence charges. The acquittal felt so huge that it's completely overshadowed the very real, very severe punishment for the crimes he was actually convicted of. The headline screamed victory, but the truth is being written in sentencing memos and prison guidelines. So, was this a victory? For Sean Combs, the answer has to be no. His lawyers won an impressive battle, getting him cleared of those terrifying charges. That was a masterclass in legal defense, but the prosecution may have just won the war. They created a situation where a conviction on lesser charges felt like a fair deal to the jury and could even be spun as a win by the defense. But all along, they got what they really needed. They took away Sean Combs' freedom and branded him a federal criminal. He isn't a free man who outsmarted the feds. He's a convicted felon waiting to find out how many years of his life he's about to lose. The real story here isn't the victory he supposedly won, but the perfect trap he walked right into. What do you think will happen at sentencing? And what does this case really say about celebrity justice in America? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on so you don't miss our next video. Thanks for watching.